Change your mind, change your money, change your life. I am Coach Rob Lee Simmons, the host of this podcast, and let me be your tour guide to greatness.
This guy said that to me one day, and it's like things happen twice, right? Sometimes even 3 times before we realize the significance. So this guy said that. I was rushing, and he looked at me, he said, "Man, you look like you busy." I said, "Man, I am." He said, "I hope you're busy making money, because if you ain't making money, you're wasting your time." And it's, I heard him, but I'm rushing. I'm trying to get stuff done. And then I read Timothy Ferris' book, and that whole book revolves around that one thesis. If you're busy, but not making money, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, you're really just wasting time. You really just
I'm
wasting
like,
time.
I was reading that book, and every chapter I could hear that man asking me that question. So by the time I finished that book, I rearranged some things.
You already knew what you was about to do with your time, huh?
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah. So how's everything going, man? You still working on a new project?
I went to a conference in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Power
Okay.
Networking Conference. Dr. Frazier, the immaculate Dr. Frazier, is the founder of that conference, man. It was powerful. We ate lunch with a billionaire, Dr. Roberts. So that was cool, listening to him speak. And then 2 hours later, he gets off stage, and I was lucky enough to be at the table with him. And then when I went VIP, and so that gave me a private meeting with other VIP guests, not just me, but it was about 8 of us. We got a private invitation to Dr. Frazier's presidential suite to sit at the table with him. And he was like, "Look," I think he said 78. He said, "I'm 78 years old. Everything y'all want to do, I already did it twice." And so he said, "All y'all own a business. You paid extra money to be here. This is what that extra money was for, to sit at the table with me. Ask me whatever you want." So it was cool. It was extremely powerful experience. I was like, damn. So when I become a billionaire, I got to make sure I allow people at the table with me to just freely ask questions. I got to remember that one.
Just have at it.
Get the people access, right?
Yeah, I think that's
one of my favorite sayings is, every time I hear somebody say knowledge is power, I say, no, you are wrong. Knowledge is only power if you give it away. We got to give it away, brother.
That's
It
good.
serves no damn purpose. You could be the most knowledgeable man in the world, but if you're not sharing, if you're not giving that knowledge away, you're just a selfish asshole.
I love it. I love it. Oh man. Yeah, every time I get a chance just to listen to you speak, man, it's just it shifts some things in my life. I truly appreciate it, man.
Got you.
Yeah. Okay. The first question will be, what has been the most surprising obstacle you've encountered in your real estate career, and how did you navigate it?
Surprising obstacle?
Yeah.
I would say racism. And as crazy as it sounds, I'm so happy. And please understand, I had to train my mind. It was a paradigm shift. I had to train myself to become optimistic. I was not always like this, but I think in becoming optimistic, I just expect you to be optimistic because I'm optimistic, because I have this spirit of positivity. I have an intent to infect you with my positive spirit. Since I come in the door with this positive glow of spirituality, I just accept the same reciprocity from whoever's in that room. And so When it happened, it was like extremely surprising because it's one of those things where you know it exists, but it's a shocker. It's always a shocker when it happens. And so the racism, I had to remind myself, a licensed realtor in the state of North Carolina, which was a Confederate state. So now I got to look at history of this state, all the barriers involved to keep Black people on one side of town is one, and then the barrier to prevent us from entering certain industries. And so real estate, white people have been the gatekeeper for an extremely long time. And so there was a surprise. Damn, how did I not expect that? I did it because I don't think the worst of people. I don't walk in the door like that. So it was a surprise. In 26 years, there have been three horrible events because I'm not the quiet type. So when it happened, it ain't like I was like, my feelings hurt and I dropped my head and I walked to the car and I kicked the rock. I am not that type of man. So it happened. It was like, wait a minute. You effing with the wrong one. And let me just say, even when I had to show my behind and move some furniture, I'm glad it didn't escalate past that
Right.
because I turned around. I was so angry. I turned around 2 days later. I turned around and was like, damn, I could have really just destroyed my future because I allowed this white man to drag me down. How did I handle it? The racism? Man, I can't even give you the details. I allowed myself to go somewhere dark. I was extremely defensive and retaliatory. So it was one white old, they were all elderly, and I understand the history of that. But anyway, one elderly white woman, two elderly white men, three different episodes, and in both cases with the two white men, I apologize. Two elderly white women, two elderly white men, four different occasions. The two white women words, right? Because I felt like I had to check them. But the two white men, bruh, yeah. I swung, bro. I was swinging. But again, looking back, that was the wrong, attacking them the way I did was the wrong way to handle it. And what I realized because I failed, spiritually, I failed myself. What I would tell you is if it ever happened again, I would not give my power away so quickly. I was a reactionary inward.
Mm.
I moved some furniture. Like
I already know.
I'm pretty sure I put the fear of death in those two men because it was bad, Robert. It was a bad situation. But one of the things that I will say, I tell my children, racism is a speed bump. Yes, it can slow us down, but we have to build a brick wall in order for it to stop us. No, I don't care how racist a person is. I don't care how racist you think a system is. There is a way around that one racist person. There is a way around whatever system is out there. Way more white people have helped me get to my level of success than anybody white who has made an attempt to slow me down. Because you ain't stopping me, bro. Once I have a goal in mind, you are not stopping me. And so to answer your question, man, racism surprised me. It really did. But that was my own fault. And I take responsibility for that. I'm just a naturally, I like to smile. I like to give more than I receive. And so I walk through the door with my positive spirit glowing, and they dimmed it just momentarily. They dimmed it, but I got myself back.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. Like you say, like you cannot give away your power. And it's really hard because people will try to take it from you.
But it's also beautiful in the sense that it reminds us of our weaknesses and what we have to work on, because it's so many things I could tell you, but I'm constantly trying to be humble. And it's an internal battle. It's a spiritual battle. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It's about me staying true to myself. So moving forward, I will say I will never give my power away like that again.
So let me ask you, and this might be like a broad question, but just bring us into the real estate industry. What is one misconception that is within the industry? What do people think they know that they don't know about the real estate industry?
HGTV has destroyed the realism of real estate. It has destroyed it. People think this is easy because what they see on TV. People think they're going to make a lot of money if they do this. I'm already struggling. I'm already living paycheck to paycheck. Let me go get the real estate license. I'm going to get some sales and solve all my problems. First of all, what people don't know, you have to pay for this license like every month. There are fees associated with having this license. So if you're hurting for money, getting your real estate license to solve your problem is it's a horrible idea. Horrible. But they don't know. And so real estate brokers has an extremely high turnover rate because people come in looking to be saved. And then once you sit them down and say, you got to pay for this, you got to pay for this, you got to pay for this, they got to pay. And they go, wait, whoa, 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 I haven't made any money yet. They ain't got nothing to do with your license. Ain't got nothing to do with that. You should have studied that before you came in this business. Why are you here if you don't got the money? And so now it's, oh my God, I spent all this time. I went to class. I spent all this time studying to pass the state exam. And you telling me I need money? Yeah, you need money. And so that shock of it, people, they go through all of that, walk in, then they turn right around and walk out. So it's not as easy as what HGTV got you believing. And two, you need money to keep a license. Now, I am a real estate investor. I do not have a license. I'm not licensed. I have money. You understand? King Bell got money.
I love it.
So what that means is when I say that I'm an investor, every day I wake up with the intent of, I ask myself one question: how can I increase my residual income? How can the money that's liquid, how can I employ my dollars to go out and bring back more dollars home to me? That is the daily life of an investor. I'm not chasing commissions. I don't really do too much with the public unless they rent one of my houses or they rent one of my apartments. But this is my money. So every day I wake up trying to continue to grow this real estate empire that I have.
Yeah, that's dope. That's super
Mhm.
dope. So, can you share a pivotal moment in your life that dramatically changed your perspective on success and wealth?
Oh man, I was homeless.
Yeah.
It being homeless, I didn't know at the time, of course, the effect it would have on me, but it's not something that you live and you just forget about. Being the time, it messes with you. For me, losing everything literally overnight because of my mother's drug addiction to cocaine. That's how I became homeless. But losing everything overnight and then literally walking the streets, you're trying to figure out where you're going to sleep safely without anybody messing with you. Food, taking a shower is like the furthest thing from your mind. You're just thinking about survival, safety, and the next meal. Now, if you can survive that for a year, for me, what that year of being homeless did was it changed my perspective on the basics. food, lights, and water. Again, even when I made my first $1 million, just to bring clarity to how traumatized I was, even when I first made that first million, I was still worried about when I opened the refrigerator, is there food in there? That's the trauma, the damage from what I went through when I was homeless. And so a lot of people who know me, who've met me, one of the questions they ask is, how do you have so much money and you're still so cool? You're down to earth. I see you. You're not flashy. You're not this. You're not this. And I say, man, I don't know if I could ever be that, because this moment when I was homeless where my mind was messing with me. I would be hungry, right? And my mind would show me that $120 shirt I bought. And then my mom would say, how many sandwiches could you buy right now
Oh,
if
man.
you had that $120 and didn't buy that shirt? My mind would show me I bought a pair of $400 tennis shoes once. And now I'm hungry with nowhere to live. And I'm seeing them shoes. And my mind is saying, you can go grocery shopping right now if you had $400. And so my point is, it's very difficult actually for me to look at materialistic items and feel a need for those items, because I, more than most, I understand you can lose all of that materialism tomorrow, Robert. It really has no significance when you need somewhere to live. It has no significance when you are hungry. And so imagine you're a family man. Imagine losing things overnight. It's not just you. You got your wife looking at you. You got your kids looking at you saying, what's next? you, you like, that's when the real things that matter punch your ass in the face. And you start thinking, one, I could never put myself in this position again. How do you do that? As an investor, I question my every financial move. And so I can't allow myself to fall victim to materialism. One, it goes against my spiritual beliefs, but two, at the end of the day, that stuff doesn't matter. And just to give you a quick example, in the last 30 days, a young lady, one of my tenants, I didn't know this. I went to her house to do an annual inspection, and three kids sitting on the floor eating. She had their dinner on the floor. They were eating. And I said, you don't have a kitchen table? And she said, no, I don't. I said, why didn't you tell me? And she was like, I didn't know that I could. I said, I'll be right back. I went to my own house. I gave her my kitchen table. It doesn't matter how much I pay for it. It's a damn table. I
Mm,
can get another one. You understand?
yeah.
I'm not giving significance to a kitchen table. And I know this woman feeding her kids on the floor of her home. That's not how my mind works. It doesn't matter what I pay for. It doesn't matter how cute or sexy the table look in my dining room. None of that matters. This woman and her children need a kitchen table. I have one, I'm giving it away. So to bring it full circle, homelessness, man, that traumatized me, definitely. But it's one of those things I did not know the effect it would have on me, but I'm glad that it happened, because I don't know what kind of man I would be with all this money if that didn't happen to me.
That's so real. That's so real. Your experiences kind of create who you are in a sense.
They build us.
Yeah, because it could be two different people with the same million, and their experiences is going to show you how who they are based off of their previous experiences with the money.
You got it. You got it. Mhm.
Yes. How do you think your work in real estate has contributed to the broader community and cultural narrative?
Oh man, I know for a fact I changed people's lives because I talk to people. And what I mean by that is I was a salesman for a very long time. And I read books, how the mind works. I read books on emotional intelligence. And so I know that when people know that Robert is coming over to sell me something, they're already expecting you not to be honest. It goes with sales. They're not going to believe you're transparent. They're not going to believe you're 100% honest. They're just all this negative connotation that comes with conversating with a salesman. So my approach when I buy a house, whether it's to flip or to rent, my approach has always been to give away as much information as possible. An easy example, I know for a fact, one of the, I gotta be, I'm not gonna say I'm the only person because I can't guarantee that, but I gotta be one of the only flippers out that does this. And even when I tell other flippers, they're like, you do that? Everybody that I work with, everyone that I contract with when I flip a house, I prepare information binder and I make sure that they're going to guarantee, give me a warranty on their work. Some of them it's 30 days, some of them is 6 months, some of them it's a year. But I prepare an informational binder for the person who buys that flip from me so that they know, one, I take my name seriously, but two, here's everybody that I work with. You have a problem, these men will stand behind what they did and help you in any way that they possibly can. And you have a problem with one of these people, you can call me, even though you already bought the house. For the protection of my name, I will do what I can to step in to make things right if for some reason something was to go wrong. And so I'm about transparency, and I call it train the consumer. Yeah, you're buying the house, but let's sit down and talk before you sign anything, Robert. Let's sit down and talk. Have you ever bought a house before? No, you haven't. Let me explain some things to you. I talk and I give that knowledge. I give it away. This is what you need to know. This is what you need to know. This is what you need to know. Are you sure you want to do this? Because I look at it like this, I'm gonna make the money regardless. The house is going to sell or it's going to rent, whatever the proposition is, I'm going to be taken care of. But how do I make sure you're taken care of? And just by taking the time to make that extra step to ensure your comfort, that's why I've been in business going on 27 years with no advertisement. People remember how I treat them. They remember how I treated them, and they tell the next person and the next person and the next person. I'm about giving this knowledge away.
That's solid. That's
Mhm.
solid. Can you tell me about a time that you failed spectacularly and what did you learn from that experience?
Building my apartments, I would say I had several failures. This was the first time I used all my money to do something, number one. And even though I took classes, I sat down with people who did this before, it's still a situation where you're not going to learn everything until you do it, right? I keep sitting down with you. Man, Robert, tell me about swimming. Come on, Robert, tell me about swimming. Man, tell me about swimming. I got to jump in the pool. At the end of the day, I have to jump in the pool, right? Building an apartment complex, you got to jump in the pool. And so I thought that my $1 million in the bank, I thought I was the man. I thought I was the man, and it wasn't enough. But I didn't really understand why it wasn't enough until I jumped out there. And we had a budget, of course, that blew up because I literally started building, and then COVID hit and the price of plywood skyrocketed. Price of a lot of material skyrocketed, but nothing jumped the way lumber did. Couldn't foresee that. I had a great general contractor, H2O. Cal and his wife rolled out the red carpet for me. And how I got through the failures was really the patience of Cal and Nicole Holmes. They really, they knew this was my first time. But at the same time, because of my extensive real estate career, there were moments where Kyle just thought I knew, and I didn't know. I didn't know. But how I overcame the failures was I do not give up.
Mm.
I don't give up. I'm not giving up. That's number one. Number two, I'm not afraid to ask for help. I'm not. I have no shame. Spent everything I had to make this dream come true and still needed some more money. And so I went into beast mode and I was on the phone. I did some syndication events, stood up in front of people asking for money. And so you have to recognize the failure. Don't ignore it. Recognize the failure. Realize how did it happen, and then move forward. Okay, I failed. Got it. I know what I did. Won't happen again. Go. And I took off. I did not wallow and beat myself up. I didn't do that. I know this was my first time doing this. Of course, I was going to make some mistakes. Of course, that was going to be some failure. So what? I learned it. I'm ready for the next one. Let's go.
Man, you just
Let's
have a
go.
that spirit too. You just gotta
Hey,
have that
man,
spirit to do it though.
you have to. You have to. I'm already. My next deal will be at a minimum $10 million or more. Like it will be. And so, no, man, I'm not stopping. I'm not slowing down. I'm preparing myself for the next deal. After I get this next deal, then I already got it set in my head. The next one will be $50 million or more. But you can't worry about failure. You can't worry about mistakes. It's gonna know how hard you try to move to that thing called perfection, you're not gonna achieve it. Keep perfection as a goal, but understand you're gonna fall, you're gonna fail. It might not even look the same as what you envisioned it to look with that finished product, but you keep moving with the intent of getting better and better, but you can't stop.
You know, that's man. Oh man. I feel like you already know, man. I next time I come down there, I'm gonna get another meal on me, man. I gotta pay for my I gotta pay for my tuition, you know. I love it. Hey, so what is your vision for the future of Fayetteville's real estate market and how do you see your role shaping it?
Our market is beautiful. We have the largest military installation on the East Coast, Fort Liberty. It's an Army installation. That's not going anywhere. It's only growing. And because it's growing, that plus the significant vision of our current mayor, we have a lot of companies. They just made another announcement. We got a billion dollar, I don't remember what kind, but $1 billion factory coming to Fayetteville. That's some major things happening.
That's
We don't have enough housing for everything that's taking place. And so my vision, so that's Fayetteville. Fayetteville is growing exponentially. My role in that vision, the obligation that I've placed on my shoulders, I want to buy as many hotels as I can with the intent to convert them to apartments to help meet the demands of the growing citizenship of the city. Fayetteville, like in the last 2 years, the rent has doubled and it's only going to get worse. And so I'm going to make a space for myself in a hotel conversion. That's where I'm going. That's the vision moving forward.
that's solid. I love it, man. Nothing but gems from you every time. Nothing but um,
Got to give them away, Robert. Got to give them
yeah.
away.
Yeah, I'm learning this. Hey, what are some of the sacrifices that you've made to achieve your level of success, and do you have any regrets?
Never regret anything, period. Regret shouldn't even be in your vocabulary.
Mm.
You can't take away something from your past, it destroys your entire future. It doesn't matter how bad it was. You remove that one thing, it's the butterfly effect. You just tore from the destiny that you're riding on You just tore from that and created a different direction. You don't know where you will end up if you try to go back and remove something from your past, but you don't get the privilege of sitting where you are. You lose that. You lose all of it. So you can't say, I regret such and such. You change one thing in the past. Think about it like this. You might lose your wife. You might lose one of your children. You might lose all of your children just because you thought you could go backwards and change something. So we cannot operate with regret. We have to operate with, what did we learn? What did we learn? So there's no regrets. Ask the question one more time.
Yeah. We're getting good. What are some of the sacrifices you had to
Sacrifices, that's what
end?
it was,
Yeah.
sacrifices. I believe, and you would have to ask another multimillionaire, but because I'm a multimillionaire, I can say this. I believe you have to have single focus and you got to be selfish. What I mean by that is I could not give to everybody who asked me to give and still have what I needed to fulfill my dreams, because my dreams cost money and people keep asking for money. And I'm standing in front of them saying, I need my money for this dream. And they're saying, F your dream. I need help right now. What about me? I love you. And so it's like, but if I give you this, I destroyed this journey that I'm on. I know I can become a millionaire in 10 years. I have a 10-year plan. Just hang with me for 10 years. Let me make this come true. And then I'll help you with this and this. Nobody understood that. Everybody, they want immediate gratification. I want my car note paid today. F your dream. My rent is due next week. F your dream. I want these shoes right now, Robert. F your dream. And so I sat back and was like, am I being selfish or are they being selfish? Or do they not believe that I'm really doing what I say that I'm going to do? So I think that it was a test. When I look back at it, I think it was a spiritual test because I was changing. I was evolving, becoming a new iteration Jerome that I never had been before. I'm telling everybody, no, my dream is the priority. My dream is the priority. And when people got angry because they didn't understand, I said, the only way I can make you understand is continue on this journey and you see who I become. I think the sacrifice would be, I let a lot of people go. Or I should say they turned their backs on me because I wouldn't give them what they wanted at the time. And I'm glad that I did it because you can't serve two masters.
Yeah.
You can try, but you'll fail. I chose the dream. That was the priority. And so anybody who didn't understand that, they just had to go because I flat out refused to use my money to acquiesce to somebody's demand for immediate gratification when I'm trying to do something bigger than they can even comprehend. So the sacrifice, you're going to lose some people. If your goal is to become a new iteration Robert Simmons, if that's your goal, there are going to be people who they like Robert for who he is right now. They don't want you to change. They don't want you to change. And they're scared of you changing because they have a level of comfort with you. And so I just grew. I became somebody else. And I understood that as I moved from religion to spirituality, I lost a lot of religious people. They didn't understand what they were saying. We couldn't even communicate the same anymore because I'm God is within with me. So I'm trying to be God. I'm trying to act like God. They looking for God in the clouds. And I'm like, no. So we started speaking two different languages.
Yeah.
And that was affirmation to me also. So it was sacrifice, but it was also affirmation that I was becoming a new person. Because when you start losing people because you can no longer communicate, it's a sign of growth. It's not a bad thing. It is not a bad thing. So sacrifice, if done correctly, I believe can lead to growth. It can lead to evolution. I'm not the same Jerome who started the journey. And so all those people who was hanging around when I was broke as hell, living paycheck to paycheck, because they were also living paycheck to paycheck. Robert, you got to think about it.
Yeah.
So we all sitting in the room complaining how we're gonna pay these bills. We all sitting in the room complaining week before payday. We ain't got no groceries. Man, we gonna start. We all complaining because we're all living the same ills. Things start getting better for Jerome. I'm not complaining no more. Matter of fact, I don't even like being in this room no more because I don't have these problems anymore. I'm not saying anything because I don't want to bring attention to myself, but people notice, man, bro, why you not saying nothing? Why are you so quiet? Yo, what's going on with you? You look different. So that's what I mean by the communication changes because people notice I wasn't complaining anymore. People notice I walk lighter. I wasn't walking around with the world on my shoulders anymore. So those people who I was hanging around, they noticed the difference. And as they noticed the difference, they was like, "All right, Robert, since you ain't got to worry about your light bill no more, hey man, help me out with mine until payday." And it was like, "Oh no, I didn't rise just so y'all could throw an anchor around my neck and bring me back down into that room. I don't want to go back in that room no more." But let's talk about you getting out the room with me. Nobody wanted to have that conversation. Nobody. It was just give. So again, you're going to lose people, but I say make the sacrifice and be selfish. You got to have a single solitary focus that you're gunning for. So once I made a decision to be, because I was a day trader first, remember, I fell in love with stocks first. Once I made that decision to be a day trader, my entire world revolved around stocks. So people are coming to me. We were friends for a long time. They want to talk about some rap video. I'm like, bruh, what was he wearing Nike? Because I can buy Nike stock. I mean, why are you in my face? I don't care about a rap video. So the language, the communication is changing. They want to come to me about so and so slept with so and so. Did they sleep in with each other at the Marriott? Because I could buy stock in the Marriott. What's the purpose of the story? Like, what stock you trying to recommend? So now they looking at me like I'm crazy because I keep talking about stocks. I'm looking at them like they crazy because they not talking about stocks. So now they don't want nothing to do with me anymore. Man, all Jerome talk about is the stock market. I was evolving. You understand? I was evolving. Then I made a whole bunch of money in the stock market. And that led me to that woman named real estate. Been my boo ever since. So now my conversation is it's about stocks and real estate, stocks and real estate, stocks. I don't want to talk about nothing else. So now you again, you want to talk about so and so sleeping with so and so, bruh. Are they selling the house they slept in? I mean, what's up? They renting? Are they ready to buy a house? I mean, what's the purpose of you bringing them up? What they got to do with real estate? So now again, they don't want to talk to me no more because all I talk about now is stocks and real estate. So the sacrifice to me was all those people that I left, that left me. I'm sorry, that left me. But at the same time, the sacrifice, seeing those people walk away was affirmation that I was evolving, Robert. I became a new Jerome. And then a year later, I was a new Jerome. 5 years later, I was a new Jerome. I didn't allow my mind to sit idle at no given moment. And on top of the money I was making, I was reading a book a week. I was reading a book a week. So you coming to me want to gossip? No, no. Let me tell you what I just learned in this book. Let me tell you about this book. I just grabbed that whole conversation, took what you was talking about, threw that in the trash. Forget about what you talking about. Let me tell you about this book. And I would just dominate the conversation with money and then knowledge and then money and then knowledge and then you. Okay, do you have life insurance? And so people was like, wait, I don't know. I don't understand nothing you're talking about. So they was all in ass. And so I became the person nobody wanted to talk to unless you were seeking knowledge or financial advice. Now, you served in the military. You're still in the military. So think about how crazy my 10 years in the Marine Corps was. I went in an E2, picked up E3 within a year. I was a ad hoc financial advisor to staff NCOs and officers. I'm an E3. I got captains coming to my office saying, hey, I got my prospectus in my car. Bill, I'm gonna take you to lunch. I want to pick your brain. I got a lieutenant colonel saying, bring your ass to my office at lunchtime. I got my prospectus with me. I want you to review. I was an E3. And you know how powerful this is?
Oh yeah.
I got staff NCOs saying, hey boy, I don't want nobody seeing us together, but here's my address. Catch a cab, do what you got to do, come to the house. I'm gonna feed you. I got this financial paperwork. I don't even understand what it means. I need you to read it and interpret for me. I was an E3, staff NCOs, officers, taking me to lunch, cooking for me, picking my brain. Bell, what stocks you buying? Bell, can you put together a stock portfolio? Bell, I got 25,000. Bell. Marines my age, I mean, I went in 17, so we're talking 19, 20 years old, okay? Marines my age was playing video games all weekend. They're talking about rap videos and football, and I ain't even speak that language. My whole world revolved around stocks. Nobody spoke to me. So the beauty in the sacrifice was a reputation that people respected, because it got to a point where nobody approached me with silliness. They understood that's not what I'm about. Don't come to me with rumors. I don't want to talk about your rumors. And if you get in front of me with rumors, I'm going to snatch that goddamn conversation. I'm going to ball that up. I'm going to throw that away. I'm going to say, okay, you finished with the silliness? Because I just bought some more stocks. What are you doing with your money? Once I asked that question, they turn around and start running.
Hauling ass the other way.
So the sacrifice is proof of growth. That's my message. The sacrifice, Robert, is proof of growth. I achieved all of my dreams, and all those people that I lost, affirmation, brother. I am not mad. There is no regret. It's affirmation. I was becoming a new man right before their eyes.
All right, so this is gonna be my last question because I know, hey, my tuition only stretched so far. So how
You
have
gonna get a bill after this.
yeah, I know it. It's gonna come in the mail. I got to pay payments on that bad boy. Oh man. How has writing American series influenced your personal growth and understanding in the American dream or nightmare, however you want to call it?
Say that one more time, please.
I'll rephrase the question. So, in
Okay.
writing the American series, how
Mhm.
has that influenced your perspective of America? Have you
Oh,
wrote
yeah.
it and it felt, damn, I I see the big picture. I wrote the big picture. How has that changed or transformed your mind over time in writing it?
A book is a form of art, right? I can't draw a stick figure. I can't paint, but I can write. I can't sing. Music is art. Painting is art. Books, literature, that's art. When you release your art to the public, you have to sit back and wait for feedback. and see how the observer interprets your art. Kalisha reads my book and she goes, "Oh, I see the pain of him living in the house with a crack addict." Robert reads my book and goes, "Oh, as a Black man, I identify most with this particular character. Jerome told my story." So my point in saying that, it was because I read so much, I got so much information in my head. The American series, it's a 3-book series. It's my contribution to Black literature. It's my depiction. If somebody 100 years from now want to know what's it like being Black in America in 2021, to Black in America from 1990 to 2025, let's say that, I sincerely believe that 100 years from now, they can look back, pull this series, and have the most authentic depiction of what it means to be Black in this country from the period 1990 to 2025. I believe that because I've read so many books, this is one of the many. There's too many amazing books. I would never say it's the best, but it would be in the pantheon of great books that depict what does it mean to be Black in this country for that time period. And so the greatest phone calls, and all of them, I mean, people have called me crying because even though they were Black, I put a lot of history in these books, a lot of history from when we were slaves, physical slaves. I believe we're still slaves. The chains have just become illusionary. They're still there. They're still there. That's my argument. I mean, you read the damn series, that's my argument. I can prove it. But the people, Black men, Black women, calling me, crying, saying I didn't know, was really the most profound conversations, because they're forever changed now that they do. Every Black man that I know of, I got a character of them. Even you, Robert, you're in this book. Just by virtue of being a Black man, you're in this book. It's 6 Black characters, male characters. You're going to identify with one of them. One of them is going to be your story. And that has been the cool part. People call me and say, "Bruh, you got my dad in your book. You got my brother in your book. You got my son in your book. You got my uncle in your book." That has been the most amazing gratification. When I get them phone calls or the emails, "I just read your book. You told my dad's story." Or, "I just read your book. I'm a pastor of such and such church. I love your depiction of Saint Pastor Augustus. You did this right. You did this right. You did your biblical extrapolations and you brought them to life. You did that right." I mean, it ain't even about the effect of the book on me. It's the effect of the book on the person observing my art. I had my very first book club invitation, all Black female book club right here in Fayetteville. And one of the women, she literally jumped off her chair and she screamed. And with tears in her eyes, she looked at me and said, "I didn't know my last name was an invoice. I didn't know we don't own our name." You know, I break all this stuff down. And at age 53, she didn't know. And so those phone calls are just heart-wrenching, man. They grab me and they twist, because I'm in anticipation of your feedback. And then I hear the effect. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna make it short. The coolest phone call, this brother called me and he said, "I don't even read books. I can't stand books. He said, but I saw the cover and I saw that noose. And he said, I read your synopsis on the back. And I said, man, I want to. So he made a decision to buy the book to support me. He looked at that cover, he read it. He said, I said, okay, I'm gonna read this book. And I asked him, I said, okay, now that you read the book, what was your favorite chapter? Because I literally try to cover every aspect of being Black in America that exists, literally every aspect. And so every chapter is a different aspect. So I always ask people, what was your favorite chapter? And so this brother said, none of them. I said, what do you mean? He said, your dedication to your father. He said, man, I cried like a baby. I said, why? He said, because I don't know my father. He said, I cried like a baby because you wrote that your father reads more books than you. I said, yeah, our children are going to do what they see us doing. My father always had a book in his hand, so I always wanted to have a book in my hand. My father always had a library in his house. I always wanted to have a library in my house. So you come to my house, my entire living room is a library. So he said, to give you the short version, he said, now that I read your book, ask me where I'm standing. I said, where are you standing? He said, I've never been here before in my life. I'm at Barnes and Nobles with my 2 sons. Because I read your book and because your dedication to your father was so emotionally overwhelming, I'm going to have a reading time. We're not watching TV no more. He said, bro, I want to be like you. We're not watching TV no more. I'm going to sit with my sons in the room for 2 hours every day. We're going to read together. They got 4 books each. He said he made them get 4 books each. He got 4 books. So back to your question, I just changed his life, his 2 sons' life, and all the children after them. I just changed that whole lineage. I just changed it. And if nobody else called me, Robert, that right there made writing the series worth it. The effect of that what it had on that man and his sons, that made everything worth it right there.
King Bill, you did it again, brother.
Thank you for joining the podcast. And remember, change your mind, change your money, change your life. We out.